For decades, the name Bugatti existed only in history books, a faded memory of an era when automotive design wasn't just engineering, but art. Ettore Bugatti, the man behind the brand, had once built machines so beautiful, so refined, and so ahead of their time that the world believed nothing could ever match them. But as time moved forward, Bugatti slipped backward. Wars came, factories closed, finances collapsed, and one of the most prestigious automotive brands in Europe disappeared. By the 1950s, Bugatti was gone. Not bankrupt, forgotten. The company stopped making cars. The factories were empty. The legacy became a ghost story told in old magazines and collectors' shows. For the next 30 years, Bugatti didn't release a single new production car. The world moved on. Ferrari rose. Lamborghini exploded in popularity. Porsche grew stronger. Mercedes dominated. And Bugatti remained silent. Until, in the late 1980s, something unbelievable happened. An Italian businessman named Romano Artioli, part dreamer, part genius, part risk-taker, decided the world had lived long enough without Bugatti. He believed the name deserved a comeback, not just as a revival, but as a revolution. Artioli didn't want to build another sports car. He wanted to build a supercar so advanced, so powerful, and so futuristic that it would wake the Bugatti name from the dead and place it back on top of the world. But to achieve that, he needed something bold, a foundation, a birthplace. So instead of building Bugatti in Italy or France, he gathered investors, designers, and engineers and created something completely unexpected. A brand new Bugatti factory in Campogalliano, Italy, a facility so modern, so advanced, and so beautiful that it was later called the Cathedral of Speed. The factory didn't look like a production plant. It looked like a futuristic lab designed for creating masterpieces. Artioli wanted everything perfect. Heavy check mark, a climate-controlled engine lab. Heavy check mark, a design studio with sun tunnels. Heavy check mark, a futuristic wind tunnel. Heavy check mark, a test track. Heavy check mark, a custom assembly line. Heavy check mark, even the workers' cafeteria looked like something from a sci-fi movie. Bugatti was no longer a forgotten French name. Under Artioli, it was reborn, Italian craftsman spirit combined with French engineering prestige. But building a factory was the easy part. Now he needed a car. Not just any car. Not a Ferrari rival. Not a Lamborghini competitor. Artioli wanted a machine that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the greatest cars of all time. A car that would shock the world, push technology forward, and prove Bugatti was not just back but better. And so began Project EB110, named after Ettore Bugatti and his 110th birthday. From the start, the EB110 wasn't just ambitious. It was insane. Designers sketched shapes that looked like fighter jets. Engineers proposed technology the world had never seen in a road car. Aerodynamicists tested futuristic ideas that made other companies nervous. The early plans were outrageous. Heavy check mark carbon fiber chassis. Heavy check mark quad-turbo V12s. Heavy check mark all-wheel drive. Heavy check mark active aerodynamics. Heavy check mark NASA-grade materials. Heavy check mark performance, numbers no other brand dared chase. In the early 90s, most supercars were still raw, loud, and mechanical. Bugatti wanted to build a technological monster, a car so advanced that it felt like a decade ahead. Artioli wasn't thinking small. He wasn't thinking safe. He wasn't thinking reasonable. He was thinking, if we're bringing Bugatti back, let's build the best car in the world. Slowly, the prototype took shape. Engineers worked day and night. Designers pushed boundaries. Budgets expanded. Costs exploded. But nobody questioned it, because they believed they were making history. Bugatti, long dead, was breathing again. Its heart was beating through blueprints, carbon molds, and roaring V12 prototypes. But in the shadows of all this success, a storm was quietly forming. Because a dream this big, this ambitious, this expensive, came with risks. Risks that would soon spiral out of control. Bugatti's rebirth wasn't just a comeback story. It was the beginning of the biggest gamble the company would ever take. A gamble so dangerous it nearly erased Bugatti a second time. And the car responsible for it all was the EB110. The dream was bold. The ambition was huge. But now came the part that would define everything. Building the EB110, a supercar decades ahead of its time. Romano Ardioli didn't restart Bugatti to make a fast car. He wanted something that would shock the entire automotive world. Something so advanced that Ferrari, Lamborghini and Porsche would have no answer. Something that would remind everyone of Ettore Bugatti's original philosophy. If it's comparable, it's no longer Bugatti. And so with that mindset, the EB110 project began. A vision 10 years ahead. By the early 1990s, supercars were still raw machines, loud, wild, and barely controllable at the limit. Electronics were basic. Aerodynamics were primitive. Carbon fiber was rare. Turbocharging was risky. But Bugatti wanted the future. Ardioli gathered some of the greatest minds in engineering. Paolo Stanzani, the man behind the Lamborghini Miura and Countach. Nicola Materazzi, the genius behind Ferrari F40. Aerodynamicists who previously worked in aerospace. Designers with backgrounds in concept cars, not production cars. This wasn't a team. This was a super team. And they were asked to do the impossible. Build a car that combined the beauty of Italian design with the precision of French engineering and the ambition of a billion-dollar dream. Carbon fiber before anyone else believed in it. In 1991, carbon fiber was a material used mostly in Formula One. It was expensive. It was experimental. It was risky. But Bugatti wanted to be the first to use a full carbon fiber monocoque in a street-legal supercar. Ferrari wasn't doing it. Lamborghini wasn't doing it. Porsche wasn't doing it. Only Bugatti. They partnered with Aerospatiale, a French aerospace company that used carbon fiber in fighter jets. The result? A chassis so stiff, so light, so futuristic, that even engineers today admit. The EB110 carbon tub was ahead of its time by at least 10–15 years. This was the foundation of the beast. A V12 with 4 turbos. At a time when most cars had 1 turbo. Or 2 if they were daring. Bugatti said, let's use 4. A 3.5-liter V12. Quad-turbocharged. All-wheel drive. With 60 valves. And a red line that screamed like a banshee. People called it insane. Others called it impossible. Bugatti called it the future. This engine wasn't just powerful. It was a masterpiece of engineering complexity. Over 300 individual components. Turbo response tuned to millisecond precision. Cooling systems engineered like aircraft systems. Intake and exhaust routing never seen before in a road car. The EB110 didn't just push boundaries. It erased them. Active aerodynamics before active aero even existed. Today, cars like the Chiron and Aventador proudly show off their active wings. But in 1991, nobody had it. Bugatti did. The EB110 had a rear wing that automatically adjusted, air management systems that adapted at speed, underbody venting tuned for stability. These weren't gimmicks. They were essential to keeping a quad-turbo V12 monster glued to the road. Bugatti wasn't copying anyone. Bugatti was leading. All-wheel drive in a world of rear-wheel chaos. Most supercars back then were rear-wheel drive and barely manageable. Lamborghini Countach, wild. Ferrari F40, a handful. Ferrari Testarossa, terrifying in the rain. Porsche 911 Turbo, legendary but dangerous. Bugatti wanted something different. Something fast, but something controllable. The EB110 used a sophisticated AWD system that delivered traction when no supercar had traction. It allowed the car to put power down smoothly, explosively, and safely. Drivers who tested the EB110 said, "It felt like driving the future." A supercar revealed to the world. On September 15, 1991, Ettore Bugatti's 110th birthday, the world saw the EB110 for the first time. The stage was set. Media from around the world gathered. And when the car rolled onto the platform, the room fell silent. It was sharp, angular, purposeful, not a copy of anything. Completely unique. But the beauty wasn't the shock. The numbers were 0-100 km/h in 3.2 seconds. Record-breaking at the time. Top speed 342 km/h. Also record-breaking. The most advanced supercar on Earth. People were stunned. Ferrari engineers quietly took photos. Lamborghini staff whispered among themselves. Journalists called it the greatest supercar ever built. Bugatti was truly back. But behind the applause, behind the flashing cameras, behind the excitement, something else was happening. A hidden problem, a dangerous pressure, a financial storm that nobody in that room could see. Because building a car this advanced, this ambitious, this expensive, came at a cost Bugatti couldn't escape. And soon, the dream that revived Bugatti would become the very gamble that threatened to crush it again. The early 1990s were unlike any other era in automotive history. Supercars weren't just machines. They were statements rolling proof of a brand's power, pride, and engineering dominance. Ferrari had the F40. Lamborghini had the Diablo. Porsche had the 959, a technological masterpiece. McLaren was secretly developing the F1, which would soon shock the world. It was a battlefield, a war of horsepower, aerodynamics, innovation, and ego. And into this war walked a company that hadn't produced a car in decades. Bugatti. People looked at the EB110 like a miracle. Others looked at it like madness. Because to challenge Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, and McLaren, after years of silence, was unthinkable. But Artioli didn't just want to challenge them. He wanted to bait them. Ferrari, the king of passion. Ferrari's F40 was an icon, light, brutal, turbocharged fury. It was loud, dangerous, and emotional. Drivers didn't control it. They battled it. Ferrari represented passion, legacy, heritage. Every journalist wrote the same thing. Ferrari is unbeatable. But Bugatti believed otherwise. The EB110 wasn't emotional chaos. It was controlled precision, a different kind of greatness. Bugatti wasn't trying to copy Italy. Bugatti was trying to surpass Italy. Lamborghini, the rebel. Lamborghini, under Chrysler ownership, released the Diablo, a monster with sharp edges and a V12 that roared like a dragon. Lamborghini had style, drama, a reputation for insanity. The Diablo wasn't refined. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't predictable. It was raw power. And yet, even Lamborghini engineers admitted privately that the EB110's technology scared them. Because while other brands relied on emotion, Bugatti relied on innovation. Quad turbos, AWD, carbon fiber, active aero, fighter jet level engineering. Things nobody else dared to do. Porsche, the tech titan. The Porsche 959, though older, still had the reputation of being the most technologically advanced road car ever made. Until the EB110 arrived. Suddenly, Porsche wasn't the only one with computer-controlled systems. Porsche wasn't the only one with innovative all-wheel drive. Porsche wasn't the only one blending performance and technology. Bugatti had arrived with a car built like a science project. Detailed, precise, engineered at the molecular level. People wondered, is Bugatti the new Porsche? Even Porsche engineers were impressed. Quietly, respectfully. McLaren, the ghost in the shadows. In the background, a British engineer named Gordon Murray was building something insane. The McLaren F1, a naturally aspirated V12. The central seating position. Carbon fiber everything. A price tag that made journalists laugh nervously. Nobody knew it at the time. But the McLaren F1 would shake the world. Bugatti didn't know. Ferrari didn't know. Lamborghini didn't know. Everyone was building fast cars. Murray was building a legend. But until the F1 arrived, the EB110 was the technological champion. The car that made journalists question everything they thought they knew about supercars. The supercar crowd reacts. When the EB110 launched, every major automotive magazine featured it on the cover. Journalists used words like revolutionary, historic, engineering masterpiece, fastest car ever tested, unbelievably stable at high speed. Some even said, it makes the Ferrari F40 feel old. And while Ferrari fans hated hearing it, many knew it was true. Because the EB110 wasn't built on emotion. It was built on precision. But with all this praise came pressure. Pressure no company, especially not a revived one, could easily handle. The price of ambition. The EB110 was a masterpiece. But it was also extremely expensive to build. Carbon fiber tub cost more than entire cars. Quad-turbo V12, maintenance nightmare. Custom AWD system, expensive and complex. Hand-built assembly, slow and costly. State-of-the-art factory, massive overhead costs. Bugatti needed massive sales to survive. But the supercar market didn't work like that. Supercars sell in small numbers. Margins are thin. Economies crash. Trends shift. And in the 1990s, a financial storm was quietly forming. To the public, Bugatti looked invincible. But behind the walls of Campogalliano, the numbers were starting to look dangerous. The EB110 was a masterpiece. But it might have been too perfect, too expensive, too ahead of its time. Bugatti entered the supercar war boldly. But the war was about to get harder. And the challenges were about to get brutal. Because the very thing that made the EB110 legendary was also the thing that would push Bugatti toward its biggest crisis. From the outside, Bugatti looked unstoppable. The EB110 shocked journalists. Celebrities wanted it. Collectors admired it. Magazines declared it the most advanced supercar ever built. But inside the gorgeous blue glass factory of Campogalliano, a different story was unfolding. One the world didn't see. One that slowly, quietly, dangerously threatened everything Bugatti had built. Because no matter how beautiful the factory was, no matter how perfect the EB110 looked, no matter how advanced the technology was, the numbers didn't add up. The hidden cost of perfection. The EB110 wasn't just ambitious. It was financially insane. Every part was expensive. Every component was custom. Every process was hand-built. Carbon fiber monocoque. Nobody in the world had a proper production-scale process. Bugatti invented one extremely costly. Quad-turbo V12. No other company dared to build something so complex. Bugatti did and paid the price. Aero systems, AWD systems, titanium bolts, aerospace-grade materials. Things even Ferrari wouldn't touch due to the cost. Bugatti used them everywhere. The result? Every EB110 cost far more to build than what Bugatti sold it for. But Bugatti didn't want profit at first. They wanted reputation. They wanted to make noise. They wanted to shock the world. But reputation doesn't pay salaries. Shock doesn't pay electricity bills. Noise doesn't pay for a massive high-tech factory that eats money every single day. The most advanced factory became a financial prison. Campogalliano wasn't a normal car plant. It was a palace, a futuristic cathedral, a symbol of Bugatti's comeback. But it came with a deadly flaw. It cost millions just to keep running. Climate-controlled rooms, central air filtration, in-house composite labs, custom CNC machines, large testing grounds, a massive energy bill, a huge staff of designers, engineers, and craftsmen. Most companies grow gradually. Bugatti tried to build the world's greatest factory in one go. And the burn rate was horrifying. Even when EB110 sales slowed down, the factory kept burning cash. Even when orders dropped, the expenses didn't. Bugatti was fighting a war against time. And time was winning. The market turns its back. In 1991 and 1992, things looked promising. Rich buyers were fascinated. Orders came in. Magazines praised Bugatti. But then something unexpected happened. A global recession hit. Japan's economy collapsed. America slowed down. Europe tightened spending. The luxury car market shrank dramatically. And when the wealthy get nervous, they don't buy million-dollar supercars. Orders for the EB110 didn't just slow. They fell off a cliff. Suddenly, dealers struggled to sell cars. Some even discounted them, something unheard of for a Bugatti. It was like the world admired the EB110, but didn't want to buy it. Bugatti needed hundreds of sales to survive. They were getting tens. Competition strikes back. Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Porsche didn't want Bugatti stealing the spotlight. So they pushed back. Ferrari introduced updates to the F40 and began work on the F50. Lamborghini improved the Diablo. McLaren quietly prepared the F1, a car that would become a legend. Bugatti still had the most innovative supercar. But innovation wasn't enough. In a shrinking market, buyers went with established names, brands they trusted. Bugatti was a reborn legend, but still a newcomer in the modern era. And newcomers suffer the most in bad economies. The pressure inside Bugatti. As sales dropped, pressure rose. Engineers were told to reduce costs. But how do you reduce costs on a car built like a spacecraft? Marketing demanded more money to promote the EB110. But there was no money. Executives needed investors. But investors were scared. Workers wondered if Bugatti's miracle comeback was collapsing. Rumors started. Are we running out of cash? Can we keep the factory open? Will the EB110 survive? Romano Artioli, the visionary, carried the weight of the entire brand on his shoulders. He believed, he pushed, he hoped, but belief wasn't enough. Behind the elegant design and glowing press reviews, Bugatti was bleeding financially. Every EB110 sold meant another loss. Every day the factory ran meant another pile of expenses. Every delay in sales meant more panic. The world saw a masterpiece. Bugatti saw a crisis. The beginning of the collapse. By 1994, cracks were visible. By 1995, they were impossible to hide. By 1996, the company was fragile and exhausted. The EB110 was breaking records. But Bugatti was breaking inside. A masterpiece without profit. A factory without buyers. A brand without lifelines. The dream was turning into a burden. The gamble was turning into a threat. And soon, one final event, one hit Bugatti never expected, would push the brand past its breaking point. The collapse wasn't coming. It had already begun. On the surface, everything looked perfect. The EB110 had launched. The world was stunned. Bugatti was back in headlines globally. Car magazines called it the most advanced supercar ever built. Celebrities lined up to see it. The rich admired it. Engineers respected it. But behind the polished carbon fiber, the glowing press photos, and the roaring V12, Bugatti was quietly suffocating. The EB110 wasn't just a car. It was a financial hurricane. Everything Bugatti did to make the EB110 great was also everything that pushed the company closer to the edge. And that edge was getting sharper every day. The launch that was supposed to save Bugatti. On September 15, 1991, in front of the Château Saint-Jean, Bugatti unveiled the EB110 to the world. The stage was perfect. Blue flags, camera crews, media from all over the globe. A celebration of Ettore Bugatti's 110th birthday. When the EB110 rolled out, the room fell silent. Its sharp lines, scissor doors, futuristic stance. Nothing looked like it. It wasn't Italian. It wasn't German. It wasn't Japanese. It was Bugatti. The crowd admired its beauty. But the engineers knew the real shock would come from the numbers. 560 horsepower. Quad turbos. All-wheel drive. 0-100 km/h in 3.2 seconds. Top speed over 340 km/h. This wasn't a car. It was a statement. Bugatti was alive again. But the applause didn't bring profit. The admiration didn't bring sales. And their excitement didn't fix the growing financial nightmare. The EB110 price problem. The EB110 was expensive. Very expensive. But it wasn't expensive enough. The car cost far more to build than what Bugatti sold it for. Every sale created a loss. Every customer delivery dug the hole deeper. The carbon fiber monocoque alone cost a fortune. The V12 quad-turbo engine took weeks to build. Assembly was handcrafted. Materials were aerospace grade. Testing was brutal and expensive. Bugatti couldn't raise the price too high, because Ferrari, Lamborghini, and even McLaren were already fighting for the same wealthy buyers. Price it too high, and no one buys. Price it too low, and Bugatti dies. It was a trap with no escape. The world changes overnight. And then disaster struck. In the early 90s, a global economic recession hit. Japan's bubble burst. US investors froze. Europe cut spending. Luxury industries took the biggest hit. And supercars are the first thing rich people stop buying. Sales fell across the industry. Ferrari struggled. Lamborghini struggled. Porsche struggled. But those companies were giants. They had deep pockets, multiple models, and strong global networks. Bugatti had one factory, one model, and one source of income. One bad year could kill the company. And 1993 wasn't a bad year. It was catastrophic. The GT version one last push. As sales dropped, Bugatti tried one more move. A final attempt to save the company. The EB110 SS Super Sport. Lighter, faster, more aggressive, more powerful, over 600 horsepower. It became one of the fastest cars on Earth. Journalists praised it. Collectors wanted it. The world noticed Bugatti again. But it was too late. Supercars weren't selling. Dealers were quiet. Orders were slow. Money wasn't entering fast enough. The EB110 SS brought attention. But not salvation. Michael Schumacher buys one. In 1994, Formula One champion Michael Schumacher bought a yellow EB110 SS. It should have been Bugatti's greatest marketing moment. A global superstar. The best driver in the world. Purchasing a Bugatti. That should have helped things. That should have lifted the brand. But not even Schumacher could save Bugatti from what was happening behind the doors of Campogalliano. Investors panic. Investors who once believed in the dream started doubting. Costs kept rising. Sales kept falling. Debt kept growing. Confidence kept shrinking. Meetings became tense. Phone calls became confrontations. Deadlines became impossible. Romano Ardioli kept pushing. But the weight was too heavy for one man. The breaking point. By 1994, Bugatti wasn't struggling. It was drowning. They needed a miracle. A massive investor. A new market. A revival of economic conditions. They got none of it. Instead, the pressure rose. Employees sensed the end. Suppliers demanded money. Banks lost patience. Costs crushed every hope. The EB110 was extraordinary. But the world wasn't buying extraordinary. It was buying safe, stable names like Ferrari and Porsche. In a perfect world, the EB110 would have been Bugatti's masterpiece. In reality, it became a weight the company couldn't carry. Bugatti wasn't defeated by the EB110's engineering. Bugatti was defeated by timing, by economics, by ambition, by the brutal truth that even a perfect car can be born in the wrong moment. And now, the collapse was no longer a fear. It was inevitable. The signs were everywhere. Slowly at first, then all at once. Orders weren't coming in. Dealers were going silent. Investors were losing patience. Suppliers were demanding payments Bugatti couldn't make. And inside the beautiful blue glass palace of Campogalliano, the atmosphere changed. What once felt like a dream now felt like a countdown. The cash runs out. By 1994, Bugatti's financials weren't just bad. They were collapsing. The EB110, one of the most technologically advanced cars ever made, was simply too expensive to produce. Every sale meant another loss. Every month meant more debt. Every new innovation meant more expense. Bugatti was building a masterpiece, with a wallet that couldn't handle it. The factory was costing millions. The engineering team was expensive. The materials were premium. The staff numbers were huge. Bugatti was a small company operating like a giant. And giants bleed money fast. Ardioli's desperation move. Romano Ardioli wasn't just Bugatti's owner. He was its heart. He believed when no one else did. He took risks others feared. He pushed the company forward with pure passion. But passion doesn't solve economics. To save Bugatti, Ardioli took one bold, dangerous step. He purchased Lotus. Yes, the entire Lotus company. His plan was brilliant on paper. Combine Bugatti's technology with Lotus' lightweight engineering. Create new models. Open new markets. Share development costs. But instead of saving Bugatti, it drained what little money was left. 2 companies, 2 payrolls, 2 factories, 2 financial storms. Ardioli tried to save everything, and ended up saving nothing. The final blow when a partner collapsed. Bugatti wasn't alone in this crisis. It had suppliers, contractors, partners, all linked together financially. But then disaster struck. One of Bugatti's key financial partners collapsed. The company folded. Investors disappeared. Funds vanished overnight. Suddenly, Bugatti lost a critical pillar holding it up. It was like removing the final block in a collapsing tower. Without that partner, Bugatti couldn't meet payments, couldn't pay salaries, couldn't buy materials, couldn't finish EB110s, couldn't keep the factory alive. The dream didn't fade. It fell violently. The bankruptcy. September 1995. Bugatti Automobili officially declared bankruptcy. The news hit the automotive world like a shockwave. A brand reborn with so much passion. A factory built like a cathedral. A car that pushed boundaries. All gone. Employees were sent home. Production halted. Suppliers demanded money. Courts stepped in. Assets were frozen. The factory was sealed. People cried as they left the gates of Campogalliano for the last time. Engineers who spent years perfecting the IB110. Designers who poured creativity into its lines. Technicians who hand-built every bolt. All watched the doors close. Bugatti, resurrected with so much hope, had fallen again. The abandoned factory. After the shutdown, something haunting happened. Campogalliano was abandoned. Machines were left in place. Computers were left on desks. Tools were left on benches. Half-built EB110 parts lay scattered. Blueprints were still pinned to walls. It was as if the workers left the building, expecting to return the next morning. But never did. For years, security guards kept watch over a silent factory. A monument to a dream that was too ambitious for its time. Car enthusiasts who visited the site years later described it as a supercar time capsule, a frozen miracle, a ghost of what could have been. Nothing decayed. Nothing moved. It looked like Bugatti paused time and forgot to press play. What happened to the EB110? After Bugatti collapsed, the EB110's fate became complicated. Some cars were seized by courts. Some were auctioned cheaply. Some were bought by small companies. Some were restored and sold years later. Ironically, the car that financially ruined Bugatti became a collector's treasure. Today, the EB110 is worth millions, and collectors fight for the remaining few. But none of that helped Bugatti back then. In 1995, the brand was gone. Silent, broken, again. But legends never stay dead. Most brands die once. Bugatti died twice. Most companies never return. Bugatti would return again. Because in 1998, a massive global automaker, one with money, ambition, and vision, looked at Bugatti and said, "This name deserves another chance." And so, the legend was resurrected again. But this time, by a company that would change the automotive world forever. Volkswagen. Bugatti's next life was about to begin, and it would lead to one of the most unbelievable cars ever created. The Veyron. When Volkswagen bought Bugatti in 1998, the world expected one thing: a comeback, and VW delivered it. Not with a sports car, not with a GT car, not with a prototype, but with a monster the world wasn't prepared for. A car so powerful, so impossible, so outrageous, that even engineers inside VW questioned whether it should exist. That car was the Bugatti Veyron, Volkswagen's impossible promise. When Ferdinand Piëch, the head of VW Group, revived Bugatti, he made a promise that sounded more like a dare. We will build a car with 1,000 horsepower. We will build a car that exceeds 400 km/h. We will build the fastest production car in the world. Engineers laughed. Journalists didn't believe it. Even supercar manufacturers thought VW was bluffing. But Piëch wasn't bluffing. He wanted to do what no other carmaker dared attempt. Bugatti's new life would start with a car that broke physics. Engineering nightmare. Building a 1,000 horsepower car wasn't the hardest part. Keeping it alive was. A car that makes that much power faces problems that normal cars can't imagine. The tires explode. The brakes melt. The engine overheats. The aerodynamics fail. The gearbox breaks. The fuel pumps can't keep up. The exhaust glows red hot. The cooling system collapses. The Veyron became the most difficult engineering project in modern automotive history. Engineers spent years solving problems that didn't exist before the Veyron. The car needed 10 radiators, a custom W16 engine, 4 turbochargers, a dual-clutch transmission that didn't exist yet, tires capable of surviving 400 km/h, aero that transformed at high speed, cooling systems that worked like aircraft systems. Bugatti wasn't building a car. Bugatti was building a Formula One machine with leather seats and license plates. The cost nobody expected. The Veyron was a masterpiece, but it was a financial disaster. Volkswagen discovered something terrifying. It cost more to build a Veyron than what they could sell it for. And not a little more. A lot more. Each Veyron sold at around $1.7 million. But the actual cost per car was estimated at $5–6 million, meaning VW lost millions every single time someone bought a Veyron. Most companies try to reduce losses, but Bugatti was losing money even when it succeeded. The more Veyrons they sold, the more money they lost. Should we kill the project? Inside VW, executives panicked. Meetings turned heated. Engineers were exhausted. Accountants were horrified. Some board members said, "This is too expensive. Bugatti will drain the company. We cannot continue this project." The Veyron wasn't just a financial risk. It was a financial black hole. Even a giant like Volkswagen felt the pressure. Behind closed doors, there were discussions about shutting Bugatti down again. Just like what happened with the AB110. The fear was real. History was repeating itself. Bugatti had already collapsed once because of an overambitious supercar. Now the same thing was happening again. But then the Veyron changed everything. When the first Veyron hit the streets, the entire world reacted. People didn't see the losses. People didn't see the struggles. People didn't see the internal arguments. They saw a car that shattered every expectation. 1001 horsepower. Top speed 407 km/h. 0–100 km/h in 2.5 seconds. No production car had ever done anything like it. The Veyron wasn't a car. It was an event, a turning point, a technological miracle. And more importantly, it made Bugatti untouchable again. The brand wasn't just alive. It was legendary. The Veyron becomes a cultural icon. Celebrities bought it. YouTubers worshipped it. Kids dreamed about it. Rappers mentioned it. Gamers selected it. Collectors fought over it. The Veyron became the gold standard of speed. Every company, Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, Koenigsegg, started comparing their cars to the Veyron. It had changed the world. Yes, it nearly bankrupted Bugatti. Yes, it cost a fortune. Yes, it scared VW. But it made Bugatti a legend again. It proved that a 100-year-old name could still beat physics and create magic. Bugatti survived because the Veyron made it unforgettable. The Veyron didn't save Bugatti financially, but it saved Bugatti emotionally, culturally, and historically. It made the brand too iconic to kill, too important to abandon, too legendary to ignore. The fans kept it alive. The culture kept it alive. The myth kept it alive. And now, one more chapter remained. A chapter that transformed Bugatti from a miracle into a powerhouse. The Chiron era. The Veyron didn't make money. It didn't save Bugatti financially. It didn't bring profit, stability, or comfort. But it did something even more important. It made Bugatti undeniable. People didn't just admire Bugatti. They respected it, feared it, worshipped it. Bugatti wasn't a brand anymore. It was a benchmark. Every supercar, hypercar, concept car, and world record attempt was compared to one name: Bugatti. But now came the real challenge. Could Bugatti survive its own success? Because after the Veyron, the world expected something even greater. Something faster, something stronger, something truly impossible. And Bugatti had to deliver, not just for pride, but for survival. The Chiron begins. Volkswagen had learned from the Veyron. They knew they couldn't afford another car that bled money. They needed something revolutionary, but also something more sustainable, more refined, more profitable. So Bugatti's engineers, designers, aerodynamicists, and test drivers gathered to begin a new chapter. A car that would respect the Veyron's legacy, but rise above it. A car that wasn't just about top speed, but total performance. A car that wasn't just powerful, but beautiful, comfortable, drivable, logical. This wasn't a reaction. This was evolution. The car would be called the Bugatti Chiron. A new monster, a new philosophy. The Chiron kept the heart of the Veyron, the quad-turbo W16 engine. But almost everything else was redesigned from the ground up. Bugatti didn't chase a single number. They chased perfection. The chassis was stronger. The aero was smarter. The turbos were bigger. The cooling system was upgraded. The transmission was enhanced. The electronics were modernized. The styling was sharper and more muscular. The Chiron wasn't built to break one record. It was built to break all of them. And then, Bugatti gave it the kind of power that made engineers nervous. 1,500 horsepower. 300 more than the Veyron. The world gasped. Again, Bugatti fixes its biggest problem. The Veyron made Bugatti famous, but it didn't make Bugatti stable. So with the Chiron, Volkswagen made a crucial decision. Build Bugatti carefully. Build Bugatti sustainably. Build Bugatti profitably. The Chiron was still expensive to build, but it wasn't a financial disaster like the Veyron. Costs were controlled. Parts were standardized. Production was planned. Customization was offered. Limited units, 500 cars, guaranteed exclusivity. The Chiron didn't lose money per car. It made money. Finally, Bugatti was not just legendary. It was healthy, breaking the world with 300 mph. Bugatti wasn't done. In 2019, they released a monster. The Chiron Super Sport 300 Plus. 1,600 horsepower. Extended aerodynamics. Reinforced body. Custom tires from Michelin. Cooling systems from another dimension. On a test track in Germany. With the world watching, the Chiron did what no production car had ever done. 304.773 mph, 490 km/h. Bugatti shattered the 300 mph barrier. They didn't just break the world record. They broke imagination. No carmaker had ever gone that fast legally. Publicly, officially, Bugatti had taken the throne again. And this time, it was theirs alone. The world didn't just respect Bugatti anymore. It bowed to Bugatti, the company that refused to die. Think about the journey. Bugatti died after World War II. It came back, collapsed again in the 90s, came back again under Volkswagen, nearly collapsed again because of the Veyron's insane costs, then rose stronger than ever with the Chiron. Most brands don't survive one death. Bugatti survived 3. Why? Because Bugatti has something most companies don't. A soul, a legacy, a name that refuses to fade, a community that refuses to forget, a culture that refuses to let it die. Bugatti is not just a car brand. Bugatti is a story of failure, rebirth, risk, innovation, ambition, and a refusal to stay down. The legacy of the gamble, The EB110 nearly crushed Bugatti. The Veyron almost drained Volkswagen. The Chiron became the brand's rebirth. But there is one truth. If Bugatti hadn't taken those risks, it would not exist today. The EB110, the failure, taught engineers innovation. The Veyron, the miracle, made Bugatti untouchable. The Chiron, the evolution, made Bugatti unstoppable. Bugatti's survival is not an accident. It is the result of daring decisions, unbreakable passion, and a belief that the impossible is simply the beginning. Bugatti didn't escape its past. Bugatti conquered it. And today, when a Chiron roars down the road, you're hearing more than an engine. You're hearing a century of war, collapse, rebirth, and triumph. A legend that refused to stay dead and became immortal.